Just one day removed from Nikki Haley's endorsement of a man she herself has said is cognitively damaged and a danger to our freedom.
So I will be voting for Trump.
Nikki Haley now joins a legion of weak and spineless Republicans offering up their flabby bums to pouty Funkwinkle.
They're sitting in chairs listening to a teacher talk in English, and they don't speak English. And it will mean Biden's born.
But to say the GOP is simply broken is like saying Lauren Boebert is good with her hands. There's a lot more to it.
A few moments ago, I was admonished for stating the simple fact that the former president was indicted by a grand jury and is on trial in a court of law. That's not my opinion. It's just the truth.
First of all, I love this guy. McGovern, unlike me, keeps his cool while dealing with idiots, and then using basic, simple logic, blows them away.
So I have a parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman will state his inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, has the chair determined it's unparliamentary to state a fact?
The chair is not in a position to determine the veracity of remarks made on the floor.
Well,
that members must avoid personalities.
Yeah, well, that's unbelievable. Last week during debate, a Republican member of this House said, and I quote, "Watch the former president of the United States being hauled into court day after day with a sham trial," end quote. He wasn't admonished. I just referenced the same trial, and I was.
The adulation of Donald Trump is puzzling in at least two ways. One, Trump has clearly lost his mind. I mean, really, you cannot compare him to Biden. I mean, this Republican Party has done a good job fooling its base of junior high jugheads that Biden is feeble, despite his soaring economy and historical recovery since the pandemic, with the stock market breaking 40,000 for the first time. But when it comes to comparing Trump and Biden's mental acuity, are you high?
As you know, I've come here from New York, where I'm being forced to endure a Biden show trial, all done by Biden, carried out by Ray. That's right, all being.
Have you ever heard Biden talk like this confused and delusional?
The Texas spirit of proud independence was forged by cowboys. I will also stop Joe Biden's sinister plan to abolish the suburbs. No president since Abraham Lincoln, and perhaps in a certain way, including Abraham Lincoln, but there's been no president since Abraham Lincoln that has done more for the black individual in this country.
So on that point, you must draw one of two conclusions. The Republican Party has disingenuously chosen to pretend that Trump is normal, a Herculean feat, considering tiny finger statements and actions over the last 4 years.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner. But Hannibal Lecter, congratulations, the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Trump's declining mental state is gathering momentum, which makes him a target for foreign adversaries like Putin, who is currently receiving arms from China and launching satellite-killing weapons into space. Trump posted this the other day about his friend, and it's troubling, to say the least.
Ivan Gershkovich, the reporter from the Wall Street Journal, who is being held by Russia, will be released almost immediately after the election, but definitely before I assume office. He will be home safe with his family. Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, will do that for me, but not for anyone else. And we will be paying nothing.
Now why would he do that for you? A mass murderer who threatens the U.S. with nuclear weapons and is friends with you? The same guy who hacked our election, yes, it happened, and fed fake intel to Comer and Jordan to try to get Biden impeached? The same guy who promises to take the U.S. out of NATO and thus allow Russia to invade? And Trump's slipping mental state, you think it's going to get better?
And to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement. You do not represent our country. And if you broke the law, you can't say that.
Or, number two, the Republican Party sees Trump as a feeble old house pet that is no longer lucid and pees on the rug, but still barks at the mailman. They are using him for their own gain, but in the meantime, risking our democratic system and constitutional liberties that Trump is promising to erase.
We're going to give back our police. We're going to give them back the protection and the respect that they need. We're going to give them immunity.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
Now, I'm not sure which is more concerning, that the Republican Party knows his brain is gone, or they don't care and they think they can control him. The Republicans remind me of Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter who thought his relationship with dangerous animals made him immune from their sting or bite. It didn't. The Republican Party can't control Trump any more than they can a virus. Everything about him is awry.
The worst president in the history of our country, who was cognitively impaired.
From his raping women.
She wouldn't be my type in any way, shape, or form.
We come in the room and I say, I'm done asking questions. And immediately I hear from the other side, off the record, off the record, off the record. So they must have planned it. And he looks at me from across the table and he says, see you next Tuesday. You could tell it was like a kind of a joke, again, like teenage boys would come up with.
To the theft of documents, to sending his people to the Capitol to halt the constitutional process of confirming the 2020 election. He's an effing train wreck of a human being, much less a president. So the GOP are either idiots or whores. And then there's a GOP House of Representatives who have failed to do the one thing they were elected to do, legislate, to mold ideas into laws that protect and defend, as well as help our nation blossom into an even more successful experiment. But that didn't happen. This GOP-led House is about as productive as Trump Jr. and a spelling bee, and whose integrity is non-existent. And did I mention nuts?
MAGA cannot be ignored.
Here's Dairy Queen saying that the FBI tried to assassinate Trump.
I made sure that he knew the Biden DOJ and FBI were planning to assassinate President Trump and gave the green light. Does everyone get it? What are the Republicans going to do about it? I tried to oust our speaker who funded Biden's DOJ and FBI, but the Democrats stopped it.
She's definitely insane, but the whole Republican House is a lesson in failure.
You know, this is going to be, it's a little awkward when you want to disagree with someone on your side of the aisle, but I have to dramatically disagree with my colleague, Ms. Crockett, who used data and statistics and facts to claim that this is the least productive Congress in modern history. First of all, this Congress removed the Speaker, okay, which has never happened in the history of the Republic. That's clearly that's a big accomplishment in the 118th. This Congress took 15 rounds to even elect that Speaker that they then removed, right, which was historic in its own right. And then they removed a member of their own party. That hadn't happened in 20 years, so kudos to them. They've had a failed impeachment of a president. I don't think we've seen that happen in a really long time. This Congress did impeach a cabinet secretary, though, without meeting any constitutional threshold. We haven't seen that happen in 150 years. This Congress wants to hold Merrick Garland in contempt and then possibly arrest him. I don't think we've ever seen that in the history of the Republic. We've seen a failed motion to vacate to remove a second speaker. Again, history in the 118th. And who could forget that this Congress, on behalf of the American people, saved gas stoves and ovens and toasters and blenders and dishwashers from the communist grip of energy standards. So I think Ms. Crockett was pointing out that this is least productive. These seem to be accomplishments on behalf of the American people that are clearly historic and may never be repeated in another Congress.
When I was 18, I voted for a Democrat for president and a Republican in Maryland for Congress. Her name was Connie Morella. It was in a Democratic stronghold, but she was that good. She was a Republican who made her case clearly and with empathy towards the immigrants who came to D.C. after Vietnam and to the women's movement that, while liberal, respected her vision of a smaller yet efficient government. She couldn't win today for the same reason Cheney and Kinzinger are unemployed. The Republicans are in free fall, and it is not without irony that Trump Jr. finally speaks some truth.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore!
It's pretty simple. For MAGA to succeed, the Republican Party must die. And the last time I checked, I couldn't find a pulse.
Damn right.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I'm Chip Franklin.